YouTube, it's Louise the Big Head Bookworm. Lovely to see you. Hope you're well. Hope you're having a good day, wherever it is you are and whatever it is you're doing. This is the first video in a series that I am calling, "Ooh, I quite fancy reading that." So these are books that I have had on various lists that I've heard somebody talk about, I've seen the cover, I was mooching through a bookshop or a library and have considered getting it. I've heard it mentioned on the radio. Somehow the book has come into my awareness and I have had the thought, oh, I quite fancy reading that. I haven't yet gone out and got it. It could be that it's just not been there in front of me right at that time when I was in the library or I was in the bookshop. But I've had the thought, oh, I quite fancy reading that. I have split the lists of the books here into three. I've got lots of fiction and then some non-fiction, so I'm going to do fiction and non-fiction. I'm going to split the fiction into two. So this is going to be the first fiction. I have my phone, which has the list of the books on it, as well as another list. Because I don't actually have the book to hold, I'm going to put the pretty picture up here, and I might have to refer to my phone for the information as to why I might be tempted into this book, what it was, because sometimes it's a bit of a voyage of discovery, because I can put a book onto a list, 6 months later, a year later, find the list and go, I have no idea why I wanted that, and it takes me quite a while. Sometimes I actually have to read the back of the book or see it again to go, oh yes, that's right, I wanted it for whatever the reason is. So, let's get started. Number one is The Group by Mary McCarthy. Now, I had never heard of this book, and I know this is my most recent, oh, I fancy reading that book. And I saw this on Instagram on Brit's account, and she had just finished it or was reading it as part of a book group. See, I've gone vague with my details already, but I thought it looked quite fascinating. I just liked the cover. I saw the cover and I thought, yep, I don't know why, but I quite fancy reading that. It says it follows 8 graduates from the exclusive Vassar College as they find love and heartbreak, forge careers, gossip and party in the 1930s Manhattan. There we go, that's the hook. 1930s Manhattan. What do I am so predictable in some ways. 1930s, whether it is 1930s Britain or 1930s Europe or 1930s India or 1930s Manhattan. I love that era, and I will get this book. The Group can be seen as the original Sex in the City. Well, that can turn me off it, if I'm honest. But it is the first novel to frankly portray women's real lives, exploring subjects such as sex, contraception, motherhood, and marriage. So it sounds like an interesting book in 1930s Manhattan. Yeah, so that is The Group by Mary McCarthy, and that is my first. Oh, I quite fancy reading that. The second one is slightly different. It's Sandstorm by James Rollins. Rollins? Gotta be Rollins? Him. So, I've seen the later books in the library and I think I may have read one of them, or at least I've read some of one of them because it's vaguely familiar. It's the Sigma series, and so they're thrillers and they're set in Egypt or Peru, or, you know, they're around ancient artefacts, and they're thrillers. Sigma Force is the collection. Let's have a look. Rollins is what you might end up with if you toss Michael Crichton and Dan Brown in a particle accelerator together. Well, I defy you not to find that a fascinating idea, and not obviously Michael Crichton's dead and Dan Brown. You wouldn't want to throw people in a particle accelerator, but the idea of those two. See, I used to love Michael Crichton. I remember reading Jurassic Park and The Lost World and one of his others. It was about, kind of Ebola. what was it called? That was ages ago. I read that like years ago. And of course he's no longer with us. But they're so good. He was such a good thriller writer. He had such amazing ideas. And my word, the characters were just brilliantly portrayed. So here we are. An inexplicable explosion rocks the antiquities collection of a London museum. Oh, see, I think that sounds great. So this is the first of that kind of thriller series, and I would like to get it. I might ask at the library and see whether they can get it in for me, because I think that sounds good. I've been feeling like I need to read a good thriller, and that could be a good thriller for me. So that's Sandstorm by James Rollins. Okay, the third one is not out yet. So that's the reason why I haven't read it. It is The Bride Test by Helen Hoang. And it is the second one in the Kiss Quotient series. So I read the Kiss Quotient in, I want to say January, and I really enjoyed it. It was a contemporary romance. I haven't read any kind of new contemporary romances, and it was reasonably priced on the Kindle, and I'd seen somebody else say that it was a good contemporary romance, or it may have even been on Goodreads romance of last year or something like that. So I thought I gave that a read, and I really enjoyed it. It was a top book, just what I wanted to read out of a kind of contemporary romance. And this is her new book, and it comes out June the 6th. Looking at the prices, I could well be getting it on the Kindle again, because it's a lot cheaper. So I think come June I could well be getting that. So that's one to look out for. You can pre-order it now, but it's called The Bride Test, and it is by Helen Hoang. A book that is out, I've got this down as a hardback, but I've actually seen it in paperback, and that's Record of a Spaceborne Few. Record of a Spaceborne Few by Becky Chambers. So Becky Chambers wrote... What did she write? I've gone completely blank. See, this is quite good that I have my... Oh, A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, and A Closed and... What's that called? What does that say? Sorry, looking down at my phone, that is very rude. A Closed and Common Orbit. So yes, those were the first two in the Wayfarer series. I absolutely loved A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I thought it was really good. I had such high hopes for A Closed and Common Orbit. I suspect slightly too high. And whilst I really enjoyed it, I wanted it to be like that, and it was like that. And so that distance felt huge. But it was ridiculous, but because I expected A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet to be like that good, and it was that good, it was that kind of thing. So I'm coming in to read this with kind of less expectations, and I was in Forbidden Planet in Cambridge a couple of weekends ago, and I actually saw this, and I thought, I've mentioned it. And the previous two books were everywhere on BookTube, but I haven't seen this one talked about. Whether or not it's just because it's the third of the series, I don't know. But the first two had a really good mix of people, both kind of abilities and gender, gender fluidity, what they called themselves, and there was a kind of a good range of kind of sexualities, and it was all spoken about with such kind of freedom. I really enjoyed it, so I'm looking forward to that one. So that's A Record of a Spaceborne Few, Wayfarers number 3. So I'm going to get that probably in the next 6 months. I think I'm gonna want that one. That's what I think. Another one which I would really like, and again it's in the series, is Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Shauna Maguire. I can't see myself getting that. Maybe that's going to be a birthday or a Christmas. I got it for Christmas this last year, and I read it, and it was really good. They're kind of slim hardbacks, beautifully put together, quite expensive, and I didn't want to buy it and then be disappointed for it. But as a present, I thought it looks beautiful, and it'd be one of those things that'd be quite happy to keep anyway. Have I got it over there? Every Heart a Doorway. That was the first one in it. It's just over there if you want to have a look. And I really enjoyed it, and I got captivated in so many different ways. And this takes some characters from that short story as it is a kind of short story, and develops them in their own way. So I would really like it. I think they're so highly rated on BookTube. I went into it with kind of middling expectations because so many people had raved about it. You know, you wonder, don't you? You know, that it stunned me how good it was, and so I'm really looking forward to this one, and that is Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Shauna Maguire. The last one that I'm going to talk about is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Now, I have seen quite a few people, especially Mel, from Mel's Bookland Adventures. Now, I'm sure, Mel, you recommended this. If you didn't recommend this, then I'm speaking out of terms. But I thought I saw you recommend it. You said how good it was. Somebody else has recommended it, and it is Crazy for Books, who's one of my favourite subscribers. You're all wonderful. I love you all. But Judy did tell me about this one and that she really liked it. I'm sure you did, Judy. That's stuck in my head. So much so that I put it on various lists to get, and I haven't been able to see it. I haven't actually been able to hold it to kind of read the back of it. Apparently, it is a fiction, as all of these things are. Dum 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 dum. An entrancing novel that speaks to the Marilyn Monroe and Elizabeth Taylor in us all, in which a legendary film actress reflects on her relentless rise to the top and the risks she took, the loves she lost, and the long-held secrets the public could never imagine. So that's going to be the kind of brief synopsis. And I believe she says that she's a kind of famous recluse, and she will tell her story to this one particular reporter, and that is the book. And I look forward to reading it. Apparently it is brilliant. Looking at the ratings, and just generally, when anybody's mentioned it, they've mentioned it in glowing terms, and they're people that I trust. Which is what happens, isn't it? You kind of gather people that you go, oh yes, we like the similar books. We have a similar taste, and I like the cut of your jib, and I like the look of this book. So I shall get this at some point. But as yet, I haven't been able to find it. I haven't been able to hold it in my hot little hand and get it. But I will do at some point. So those are the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books that I have thought, oh, I'd quite like to read that. I look forward to speaking to you soon. Let's do this again, BookTube.